Hi, my name is Agata. Welcome in Agata's Cottage. I have very fun collab video for you today. Lara, Sewing Up Style, and I are joining together to sew hand-inspired top. As some of you might know, I'm a big fan of Stray Kids, so is Lara. We connected over our love for their music, and sewing is an additional plus to our friendship. We text each other daily, we send each other memes and reels, talk about sewing, talk about music videos, performances, all things related to Stray Kids, sewing, and a lot about life. Lara and I planned to do this make for December, actually for New Year's Eve. However, because my machine broke, I couldn't complete the task. Therefore, we moved it for mid-January. And what sparked this creation, I will get to creation in a minute. A couple of months ago, Stray Kids performed at a Korean Artist Awards, and we both were watching and we text each other, "Did you see Han's top?" So that's Han in the top. Han is one of the members of Stray Kids. He is amazing singer, great rapper. He is adorable. He is clumsy as hell, and he is very good dancer. Oh, and he writes, compose, and produce their music as well, along with two other members of the team. So he is extremely talented young artist. I absolutely love his outfits. Actually, not only his, but all of them. They spark so much creativity, so much inspiration in my head. I cannot keep up with thinking what I could make with that. The one thing to clarify, when I say inspire, I do not mean I recreate their outfits. We both saw this top and we both said, oh, I want to make something based on that. I haven't seen Lara's top. She hasn't seen mine, so it's going to be a big surprise. I hope you will visit her channel and say hi from me and see what she makes. I absolutely love clean lines of this top. I was thinking really hard what I want to do with the inspiration this top gave me, and I need in my wardrobe white elevated top, something that I can dress up or down, depends on the occasion. So I thought, okay, that's perfect solution for me. Doing collab, I'm extremely inspired by this top, and I'm fulfilling a gap in my wardrobe. I took white cotton I got from Ecobee. I don't know when, because I got white cotton from Ecobee on multiple occasions, so it was just one of those. So I got it's meter and a half roughly. That's how much I used. I took one of the patterns I had in my stash that I haven't tried before. I'm trying to push myself to try some new patterns, and I settled on Classic Tee by Love Notions. I picked this pattern because it has already FBA built in, so full bust adjustments for my non-sewing friends. Of course, I had to do some other fitting adjustments, and whenever I will be making this pattern again, I will do few more adjustments as well. So I did 1/4 of an inch narrow shoulder adjustment because my shoulders here are relatively narrow. I do have a big bicep, but I do not have wide shoulder here, therefore I need narrow shoulder adjustment. I also needed sway back adjustment, and in general I need relatively large sway back adjustment. So for my non-sewing friends, is adjustments when your back is curving in on basically here. And I did an inch sway back adjustment, and I think I should go even slightly bit more to maybe 1.25 inches, but it looks okay the way it is. Doing the sway back adjustment give me an option to add seam to the back. I tried multiple times doing sway back adjustment with Nancy Siemens method, but it doesn't give me as big curve in as I need. So the bestest option in my case is either to do additional seam in the middle of the back or doing fish darts. So now when we have adjustments out of way, I'm gonna talk about my top. I didn't want to do high crew neck like in hand stop. I do not like high necks on myself. They annoy the crap out of me. I do prefer either V-neck or scooped neck, but very high necks aren't my thing. So I settled for the option with the V-neck. Classic T comes over with 3 necklines, so that was perfect. During the construction, I had to change the way I did the neckband, but I will get to that in a moment. So I was thinking, okay, how I can play around with the openings on the top. I was measuring stuff and it was hilarious because at some point I had the performance on our TV paused when you could see it hand stop, and Chris just walks in and I'm standing just basically with my face in front of TV with a measuring ruler trying to figure out what size the openings were on the sleeves. He just looked at me and he said, I'm not gonna ask. I'm just not gonna ask. That was a very hilarious moment. From the look on the screen, on the photos that I could get, um, to me it looks like the openings are around 2 inches, maybe inch and a half. And I decided to go with 2-inch openings, and that's what I did for the sleeve. Hand sleeve had reverse seam on the sleeves, and I absolutely loved that detail. So I decided to use this same technique on my sleeves. The only difference is I didn't overlock the edges of the fabric like they are in the original because I thought it's not needed. I assume that he's wearing something in athleisure or any kind of performance fabric that might unravel like some of those fabrics do. Therefore, it was a necessary thing for me when I'm using cotton jersey. And I do love this detail on the sleeves. They look fabulous, and I will pop some pictures here how it looks on me. I was considering using the same technique for the front, but I thought that it might catch on the back or other stuff, so I decided to use the same technique just on the reverse, so have seams hidden on the inside. I have to admit, I'm normally very keen on having garments looking as nice on the inside as they look on the outside. Isn't the case with this one, just isn't. A few places I had to do some hand tucking and some um, creative changes, so the inside isn't as pretty as the outside is, but I do like the overall look. I'm not entirely sure that I love it, but it's more due to the fact that I still need to do some fitting adjustments to be fully happy with the way it fits. How I constructed the whole thing. I split the front um, to 2 panels. So each side of the front has 2 panels. So there's 4 pattern pieces for the front. And I did the same thing for the back. So 4 pattern pieces for the back. I was working really hard to make sure all my lines are aligned on the top of the shoulder. So there is kind of continuation in between the shoulder, like the split seams. Originally, what I tried to do was mark on the fabrics where I need to sew, where I need to leave it open, and it was taking ages. So I thought, no, let's do one big seam, put the markings where we need to stitch in the middle to kind of stop the seams from to unravel and unpick. That was the first time when I willingly put myself into a situation when I had to use the seam ripper. And I had to use it a lot because there is a lot of openings. So as mentioned, I decided that the split will be 2 inches. And I constructed everything. I touched the sleeves, etc., etc. When I tried on the top, I had the moment of, oops, my boob is spilling out. Maybe not spilling out, but you could visibly see a large portion of my bra, and I wasn't comfortable with it. It's not that it was ugly bra, it was just, it didn't look polished the way I wanted it. So back to the drawing board. What I'm doing? Am I unpicking everything and doing all the steps again? And I really didn't want to do that. So I thought, okay, what if I add a little seam inside, kind of, to connect and stop the splits opening a lot? Because when there is a split, I'll show you here. Okay, so on my boob, the split would look like that, basically. So there was a lot of exposed underlying garment. So I thought, okay, let's change it and add tiny little seams in between that stops the opening to be too wide. It looks really nice and polished, and I absolutely love how it turned out. So that lesson, not only for me, but for everyone. When something doesn't work out, try small changes because they might bring big effect. And I do think that if I would just move everything up and redo everything, it wouldn't have such a lovely impact as the tiny little seams additionally do. What else? I had to change the way I constructed the neckline. So in pattern originally there is seam down the middle, and basically there's no seam at the back, and you connect everything with doing the little cut in the fabric, etc. But because I had seams here, there was so much bulk, it didn't look right. So I decided to do it slightly differently, and I um, did neckline almost in the round and just pinch together the sides and hand stitch tiny little um, kind of like a dart. It doesn't lay flat here, it does relatively lay flat on me, so I'm happy with overall result. I binded the neckline at the back. I'll pop the picture here. It's not perfect, but it will do. Everything has been constructed on my sewing machine. I didn't need to use overlocker. I did 1-inch hem, and I will be mainly wearing it tucked in. Will I make classic tee again? Of course. There will be few additional fitting adjustments that I'm planning to make. So additional 1/8 of an inch for each shoulder for narrow shoulder adjustment, additional probably 1/4 of an inch for sway back adjustment. I will have to wear this top a couple of times to see how I feel about this. I will need to lower the armhole a little bit because it's a little bit too high on me. My bust sits relatively high, therefore there are certain drag lines, and so far I managed to find in the books is due to armhole not being low enough. We will see how it goes. I will also need to extend the sleeve by probably 1/4 of an inch because they aren't as long as I like on the long sleeves, but it's just the meeting, not the pattern thing. I really like how this top turned out. I learned not to say that I love a garment until I wore it multiple times, because during wearing my feelings might change and it might need some additional adjustments. I love where inspiration from Hans' photo brought me to this, and I absolutely love tons of sewing inspiration I'm getting from watching Stray Kids and Stray Kid related content. It's not only about fashion, it's not only about makes for me or for others. I got quilt inspiration from one of the members, and uh, additional little things that bring me joy and make me happy to create. I know some people say that they are chaotic and noisy, but I have to admit my brain hasn't been as calm as it is now in years. Their chaos, their noisiness, their randomness brings relief to my overloaded brain, and I absolutely adore it. I haven't felt as creative and as open minded and as open for new adventures and new things in extremely long time. And I'm here for the next era of my life. What do you think about my top? Did I do the inspiration justice? I hope I did. Thank you for watching. I hope you will go and watch Lara's top. I cannot wait to see what she created. Don't forget, clean your sewing machine and change your needle. Happy sewing. Bye.